Welcome everybody, John Ski writes. I'm your host, John Ski, and today it's time to end the Harry Potter book review with the final book in the series, which is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. There's a lot of deaths in this book. Obviously, it ends with the big Battle of Hogwarts, but there is a lot of deaths in this book, and I think the first one that we see is Hedwig. And I think a lot of people say that is the sort of significance of Harry's childhood ending. You know, he's officially 17 now. The spell that is on the Dursleys' house where he's been staying because of his mother's love the last few years is about to end, and they can get to him, so they've got to move him. And in the flight out of the Dursleys' house, obviously they get attacked by Death Eaters. The Order are moving him, and the first death that you see in it, anyway, the first death that you see is Hedwig, and it's kind of a shame because Hedwig was always the one that Harry had when he was stuck at the Dursleys, whether it was for a week, 2 weeks, the whole summer, throughout the different years. He only had Hedwig. You know, he was the first thing he got bought. Hagrid bought him Hedwig. So he had him all the way through, and it was a shame that he died. I kind of feel it's important that he died because, yes, people say it's the end of Harry's childhood and innocence. I actually think he grew up sort of start of the fifth one, the Order of Phoenix. He sort of had to grow up a little bit more. He's still immature, you know, he's still a young lad, but I think he had to grow up. So did the whole Golden Trio and the rest of the school. You know, they formed Dumbledore's army and they wanted to fight back. So I think that was sort of his innocence gone then. He's grown up a little bit more. But I think this signified that how far he's come. He had no one. Hagrid told him he's a wizard. You're a wizard, Harry. And, you know, he's met all these friends along the way, and he has got good friends, great friends, and people that love him now. He's got a family, even though he lost his parents and his godfather. But he's got a family, he's got friends. But that doesn't stop him mourning his first friend, effectively. Yes, he met Hagrid, but Hagrid bought him Hedwig, and it was kind of sad that it ended like that. And then when they get to the Burrow, Bill Weasley turns up and says that Mad Eye's been killed. And I think George loses an ear. He gets it cursed off by Snape in the battle. So he loses an ear. Moody dies and Hedwig dies. Unfortunately, there's no more casualties. And they go to the Burrow for the wedding. The wedding's quite cool. I think Harry takes Polyjuice Potion. So he's meant to be like a Weasley cousin or something. So people don't know he's there. But he meets Xenophilius Lovegood, Luna's dad, at the wedding. And he finds out about the book. What is the book called? The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore, I think it's called that. If I'm wrong, then put it in the comments. Don't feel free to. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. I love that film. Off topic though. So yeah, I think it's called The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore. I might actually do a book review on that because I really like that. Trying to find out as much of it as I can as possible. I don't actually know if that is actually a book. If it is, it's not one I have. But yeah, that's really, really cool, the Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore that you read in the book. So that's something that I would like potentially to talk about in the future, maybe as a book review. Although I don't actually know it is a book, but yeah, it's in the book, so why not? But yeah, and he finds out that someone's betrayed Dumbledore and talked to Rita Skeeter, the old witch bag, hag journalist, and she's written a whole book about the life of Dumbledore, and it's all, not all, but there is a lot of lies in there, and yeah, and there's also some stuff in there that Harry didn't know about, and he feels like at points in this book that he didn't really know Dumbledore, like what was he hiding, you know, what didn't he tell him, like, but you know, that's really cool. And they have the wedding, and then they get attacked at the wedding, and they flee, and they're now officially on the run. They are after the Horcruxes, just the Golden Trio, Harry, Ron, Hermione against the world. How will it end? They decide to go to the Ministry of Magic, and they take some hairs of some Ministry officials. Ron ends up in a situation where his wife's on trial while they're there, which is quite funny. And they have to steal the locket that Harry and Dumbledore thought they'd found when Dumbledore died, but obviously turned out to be a fake. It turns out that it was actually Sirius's brother that found it and turned against the Dark Lord at the last minute before he died, and he was trying to destroy the locket, destroy the Horcrux, bring the Dark Lord down. So they find out that it's potentially at the Ministry because Mundungus Fletcher, the little sneak thief, took it and apparently was going to sell it, but it ended up in the clutch of Dolores Umbridge somehow. And they go to the Ministry, and Dolores Umbridge has it on one of the trials, and they take it from her. Stunner, escape. Yaxley, I think it is, one of their figures, actually grabs one of their ankles as they're sort of separating out, so they can't go back to their hiding at Grimmauld Place. They've gone back to Grimmauld Place to hide out, so they have to leave. Ron gets splinters and damaged and hurt, so they can't travel too much, so they just have to go there and hide in the forest for a bit. But yeah, so that happens. That doesn't go to plan, as always. And then at a later point, they decide to break into Gringotts. They end up at Malfoy Manor. They get attacked, and it's actually Pettigrew dies, another one that dies. And so when he brought Lord Voldemort back, he cut off his arm, and Lord Voldemort gave him another hand. And it turns out this hand showed mercy. So Pettigrew showed mercy and decided to sort of not deal with Ron and Harry in a proper way, or not attack them or whatever. And because he showed mercy, Voldemort knew he would at some point. The hand that he gave him sort of, I think it strangles him. I can't actually remember. I read it a couple of weeks ago now. Just didn't get around to doing this video till now. So I think that the hand actually kills him. It's sort of like a fail safe by Voldemort because he knew that he was a pussy and, he potentially would do this. So yeah, so he dies. They end up with a fight. He takes and disarms Draco, beats him effectively, and takes his wand. And Dobby turns up basically and saves them all. Gets Luna Lovegood and that out. I can't remember actually who is in the cell, because I watched the film more recently than I read the book. I think in the book there's potentially like Dean Thomas as well, maybe. Could be wrong about that. In the film there's only Luna, Griphook, and Mr. Ollivander, but I think in the book there's more people than that. But anyway, moving on. So Griphook's one of the people that was in there, and they end up getting out, and Dobby saves them. And as they're leaving, as they're separating, Bellatrix throws a dagger, and she kills Dobby. Now this is, for me, the saddest death in the entire series. I love Dobby. He's probably my second favourite character after Hagrid. So when he died, it was the saddest death for me. Funny actually, because he actually saves Harry so many times, and he's there for Harry. And again, he's one of Harry's oldest friends, a bit like Hedwig, to be fair. He was there, okay, from the second one, Chamber of Secrets, but you meet him, but he's actually been involved all the way through the series. So it was a shame that he had to die. I love Dobby, and it was such a sad ending, and they obviously bury him without using magic, which I thought was really nice. It was a good touch by Harry. He really wanted to do it. He wanted to put the effort and love him because Dobby meant a lot to him. So that was really sad. Another death, another friend has gone. So they leave the cottage and they decide that they're going to break into Gringotts because Bellatrix was a bit antsy when she thought they'd potentially been in her vault and took the Sword of Gryffindor, which they didn't because the one they have is actually a fake. And the real one is, there's been one put in her vault, but it's a fake by Professor Snape, who's now the headmaster as well. He's now the headmaster. And also, they've got the sword, the sword of Gryffindor, because Ron, who had left in a big blazing row, had a massive fight with Harry and left because he wore the necklace for too long and it affected him, made him feel really, really bad and negative. He got jealous of Harry and Hermione and he left. But he comes back and Harry's trying to get the sword of Gryffindor out and he's dying because the locket's around his neck and it's attacking him. And Ron comes and saves him, and there's a doe as a Patronus, and he thinks it's Ron's. Ron's like, no, you. He goes, no, I'm a stag. I've got antlers on mine, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, it's not mine. So they're a bit confused as to why there's a deer there, and the sword of Gryffindor is in the lake, but they find it, they get it out, they destroy the Horcrux. So that's one down. That's one more down. Thank God for that. Ron returns, and yeah, forgot to add that bit. I told you it wouldn't be in order. Never is with me. So fast forward back to where we were. The next bit I was talking about Well, they're at Gringotts. They broke in. They persuaded the elf to break in with them. They have the sword of Gryffindor. Not really sure why, because you know, but they have persuaded him. So they have decided to give him the sword of Gryffindor as payment. So they managed to get into Gringotts and they get what they wanted out of it, which is a cup. Is it the Hufflepuff? Yeah, Hufflepuff cup. And yeah, they get that and they destroy it. And there's a dragon guard in it, and they've got past the dragon on the way in, but now they can't get past the dragon on the way out. And there's now the guards are all there, and they're trying to stop them. So again, this is different. I think in the book, it's Harry's idea, maybe, to escape on the dragon. They escape on the dragon, and they go free. They get out of that. But that's really, really cool. It's one of the best scenes in the book. Is them, in Gringotts trying to get through it all, and then trying to escape, and they get out on the dragon, which is brilliant. And yeah, so it's really, really cool. And then not long after this, we actually get to meet Dumbledore's brother. They're in Hogsmeade, and they bump into, they go into this bar thing, and there's Aberforth is closed, and Aberforth says, like, did you know my brother, like, blah blah, like, how comes he never told you about Ariana, like, she died because of him, and Harry's like, what? No, I know Dumbledore, I trust Dumbledore, like, I've loved Dumbledore, like, blah blah. So Aberforth agrees to help them. It turns out Aberforth has got this mirror that Sirius had, and he's got like a shard of the mirror, and he's been looking in it, and it's Aberforth he's been seeing, and he sent in Dobby to him to help him. Anyway, he looks at a portrait on his wall of his sister who has passed away many years ago, and that was again because of a fight that Dumbledore, his brother Albus, and Grindelwald had many years ago, and they're not actually sure who killed her. But obviously Aberforth has been angry with his brother ever since then, but the know Voldemort needs to be taken down. So he helps, and he's been helping apparently the Order all along, and he helps them get into the school. They're going to go to Hogwarts. They're going to Hogwarts because Harry had a little vision of Voldemort, realising that the one at Gringotts had gone and that had been destroyed, and he knows that Harry and Netta are now chasing bleeding Horcruxes, so he knows that. Anyway, they go to the school and they get in, and there's a face-off with Snape, and Snape flees. I think he has a standoff with McGonagall, and the Order get in, and they take back the castle. The castle is no longer under Severus Snape and the brother and sister. I can't remember what they're called, Alectair or Alistair, something like that. There's two of them. I think it's Alistair and Alectair. The name Alec can't be a name. Can't be Alectair. Whatever their names are, they're evil. They have like students practicing the Cruciatus Curse on first years, and they have them teaching about how Muggles are bad, and dark arts is great and stuff like that. Stuff you'd expect basically Voldemort's followers to be teaching the kids. So obviously students resist. They get beaten up. They get jinxed. They get cursed. Whatever. So yeah. So they're in the school now. They're in charge, and McGonagall and the other teachers like Horn, Flitwick, they're all guarding up the school with some of the other Order members. And someone actually pointed this out on a Harry Potter fan club. I'm a member of a couple of Harry Potter fan clubs. Someone actually mentioned when it's out, there's a photo of the Order of Phoenix, and they were like, it's 80% Weasleys at this point in the Phoenix. And it's actually quite a lot, because I can't remember it when Percy comes back and reconciles with his family. That's quite a nice moment when he reconciles with his family. He realises he's been an absolute tool, and he gets back with his family and helps fight in the Battle of Hogwarts, which is left out of the films completely for some reason. So he doesn't get his character arc. But yeah, he comes back, he realises he's been an absolute tool, and he comes back and he helps. So you've got Percy, Bill, Charlie, Fred, George, Ron, Ginny, Mr. and Mrs. Weasley. Like, there's so many Weasleys in the Order of Phoenix. They basically do make up about half the Order of Phoenix. So when you think about it, the Weasleys are the kings. So anyway, time for the Battle of Hogwarts. This is the good one. More people are going to die, unfortunately, and it is very sad. So Remus and Tonks, who had a baby, and in this book, Remus has some issues. He wants to potentially leave Tonks because he doesn't think it's good. I think he doesn't want. He says he wants to come and help Harry, Ron, and Hermione, but it's basically a lie. And Harry does have a go at him and tells him, "You're a fool. Like, go and be with your wife and your child." And he's like, no, my son doesn't want to grow up with a werewolf for a dad. The stigma he's going to get, blah, blah. What if he's got it? What if he's a werewolf? What if he likes, what if I passed it on to him, blah, blah. And it's basically, he's not being a coward. I mean, people criticise him, as I've seen people saying he's being a coward, and I can understand that because that's how it comes across potentially. But he's just scared to, to put this infliction on his son. Werewolves are not deemed as nice in the wizarding world for some reason, and they do have a harsh name. So I get it, it's trusting time for him, but he has a fight with Harry effectively, and I think he does go back. Anyway, he dies unfortunately in the Battle of Hogwarts and Tonks. So Teddy Lupin becomes an orphan, bless him. And unfortunately we lose one of the Weasleys twins. That is sad. That's one of the sadder deaths. Like, people really get upset about Sirius, but for me, the sad deaths really are Dobby, Dumbledore, and Fred. Is it that dies? I think it's Fred. Oh my god, is it Fred or George? Comment below. Is it Fred or George Weasley that dies? I think it's Fred that dies. And Bellatrix Lestrange dies. Oh, now that was an awesome moment in the film to watch that. Again, this is a book review, and I always mention the books and the films because of the differences and all the similarities, etc. But the way Molly Weasley kills her in the film is brilliant. But the biggest death, well, not the biggest death, but one of the biggest deaths is when Harry finally gives himself up to Voldemort. And the reason he gives himself up to Voldemort is because once Severus Snape dies, he walks in him, and Severus Snape gives him his memories. And he says, take him to the Pensieve. Pensieve, you have your mother's eyes. And Harry's a bit bemused at this point. Okay, so he takes him to the Pensieve, like he's been told, and it turns out that Harry has to die. The last Horcrux they didn't know about. I mean, I know about Nagini being the last Horcrux because they've just obviously found the Ravenclaw diadem thingy and destroyed that. And the last one I didn't know about was Harry. Harry is the last Horcrux, and he has to die, and Voldemort has to kill him. So Harry has to give himself up, basically, and he sees in the thing that it turns out that Snape, on the order of Dumbledore, killed Dumbledore. He asked him to kill him because he was dying anyway, and he felt like this way it would spare Draco. It would mean that Lord Voldemort would trust him completely above anyone else, and he would have the ear. He'd have the ear of Voldemort when it comes to suggestions or ideas or what to do, and it would potentially spare the students, spare the staff, and it would help keep him undercover all the way along. And he was a double agent. He was working for Albus Dumbledore, and it was because he's been in love with Harry's mum ever since they were kids. This is a very controversial thing. I think the Harry Potter universe is split sort of 50-50 on this. I personally think Snape was an arsehole. Just going to say it. I think Snape was an arsehole. Because whether he's undercover or not, yes, he has to do certain things. But it wasn't just Harry. He treated every single student that wasn't in Slytherin like a piece of crap. Like a piece of crap all the way through the season. All the way through the series. Yes, he turned out to be a good guy. Yes, he turned out that, he was working for Dumbledore all along, and he was passing information all along, and he was betraying Voldemort because he loved Harry's mum. Great. But he was still an arsehole to everyone. To Neville, to Dean, to Seamus, to Ron, to Hermione. Everybody that wasn't in Slytherin. So for me, still not a good person. He did great things, and he helped the Order a lot, and he helped Harry a lot, and Dumbledore a lot. But that doesn't change the other things that he did. So for me, piece of garbage, but he did come good at the end, so I suppose he got his character arc redemption story. He turned out to be one of the heroes, and one of the big heroes as well. Harry deems him one of the bravest men he ever knew. But for me personally, I like him. Great character, great character, but not for me. I think he's partly bad guy, partly good guy. So Harry goes to meet Voldemort, and Voldemort kills him, and he's on the door. He's on the door. Hello. He's on the floor. He's dead. Voldemort gets up, and he's like, "Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead?" And Malfoy's mum, I think, lies and tells him he is dead because she wants to make Malfoy check that Malfoy's okay. So she asks him, and he tells her yes. So she lies. So she got a redemption as well. Which is really good. Malfoy and Lucius never really did, but Draco. Sorry, they're all Malfoys. Draco and Lucius never really did. Not fully. That I feel they should have done. Lucius was a piece of work, but I love Lucius Malfoy. I think he's a great character, I really do. And you see how he goes from... You see a lot of times, you see people go from nothing, like Harry Potter, Neville Longbottom, in the series have gone from like people who knew nothing or people who had magic but were never deemed any good, and they've gone on to just accomplish the greatest things, like, which we'll talk about in a minute. But you see in this one, it's sort of like a turnaround, sorry. You see Lucius Malfoy going from like the bee's knees at the start, on the council of Hogwarts, having power to persuade and bribe and intimidate people to suspend Dumbledore and to try and kill Harry. Then he's gone from nothing, like he's one of Voldemort's loyal supporters, and he messes up too many times, and he's just nothing. Ends up in Azkaban, he ends up Voldemort's little bitch, basically. So it's quite cool. I love Lucius Malfoy. So Narcissa Malfoy, who in the film, again, nice book review, in the film, played by Helen McCrory, I think her name is, who passed away recently. So best wishes to her and her family. Condolences, sorry, to her family. And, she was a great actress, seen her in a few things, great actress. And she seems to everyone to be like a great person, a mother figure on set. So it was sad that she died. Just what I'd like to say that. But going back to the books, Draco never really got a full arc, and neither did Lucius, but maybe one day we'll get some spin-offs or something on the Malfoys, you never know. Voldemort kills Harry. Harry comes into sort of like this state of being, this dream world where he talks to Dumbledore, and Dumbledore clarifies a few things for him, and he comes back, and he's like, you've got a choice. You can go back if you want to go back, or you don't have to. It is your choice, But Harry decided to go back, and as I say, Narcissa lies and said he's alive, so Hagrid made to carry him up to the castle, and Neville steps up and is like, we will still win this. We will still fight you, Voldy. And then the battle's on, and then he's telling everyone that Harry's dead and everyone should fall in line, and then boom, Harry's up. What the hell? He's still alive. So the battle of Hogwarts continues. Voldemort fights Harry all around the school before they have the little face-off at the end. But before they can kill Voldemort, obviously, Nagini is still alive. So Neville actually chops Nagini's head off and kills the snake with a sword of Gryffindor, which he finds. I think in a sorting hat. Pulled out the sorting hat, yeah. And, so the last thing left to do is then just to kill Voldemort. Now, this is very wrong in the films, but let's talk about the book. So Voldemort actually kills himself. Harry does not kill Voldemort. He does not him. Voldemort killing curse at Harry. Harry fires off spell back, which I don't know what it is. Probably Expelliarmus, knowing Harry. Expelliarmus. Mate, they should have called him the Expelliarmus kid, shouldn't they? Harry Potter and the Expelliarmus kid. That's what he is. And he kills himself. Yeah, he dies. A lot better in the book as well. He does a lot better in the book, like, compared to what he does. And then he doesn't snap the Elder Wand in half. Again, not how it should have happened. That really annoyed me in the films because that's not what happens in the book. In the book, he fixes his own wand with the Elder Wand. That is a great thing. Now, I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to, it's gone, Elder Wand's gone. But I'm pretty sure in the book, he fixes his own wand and then he puts the wand back in Dumbledore's grave thing, I think. So, yeah, Voldemort finally got defeated after attacking and killing and torturing so many people. Half the Death Eaters fled, including the Malfoys. Bellatrix got her comeuppance. I think Dolores Umbridge got put in Azkaban, so that bitch got dealt with. Although I love Umbridge, I really do love Umbridge, which is strange because everyone hates Umbridge. Like no one likes her really. My niece loves her favourite character, and I really love Umbridge as well, which is great. But yeah, a lot of people love Snape, even though he's a douche, and I can't stand him. Yeah, that is pretty much all the story wrapped up. It doesn't end there though, the book. The book then travels 19 years into the future for some reason. And you end up with Harry and his wife Ginny Weasley, and Ron and Hermione married with their kids, and they're all on platform 9 3/4 sending their kids to school. And there's a touching moment with Harry and his son where he's worried about being put in Slytherin, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. You're named after two of the bravest people I know, and one of them was a Slytherin." Yeah, and it's just they're sending their kids off with Teddy, Remus's son, and they're all going off to school. And it's just a really touching moment. And the Golden Trio are now parents. Is it the Golden Trio now, or is it the Platinum Quartet? Because you obviously now got Ginny officially in it. Neville is a teacher at the school. I think Harry and Ron are both auras. There is a bit where, and this I don't think this is actually in the book, I think it's just generally that said that Ron apparently went and run the joke shop with Fred for a bit, but I think he becomes an aura with Harry. Hermione works at the Ministry, but yeah, so that's what they're all doing now. Don't know what Luna Lovegood's doing at the moment, but Draco's there. Draco's got kids as well that are now at school. He's got a kid called Scorpio. Don't think he's got another child. I think it's just the one called Scorpio, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so that's the end of the series, really. Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows. He dies. Harry dies, but he's still alive, thankfully. I would have liked him to have died. He ended Voldemort by giving his life, but I think it was good that he lived as well. So, well done to that ending. I really liked it. I'm not sure on the 19 years in the future, but the rest of the book is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the greatest books of all time. I love the Deathly Hallows, and ratings-wise, I've given the other ones really bad play on word Harry Potter word rating ones. So this one, I'm just gonna say it was. I haven't really thought about it. Yeah, it was Hallorific. No, I can't say that. That was bad. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is epic. That's simple. Epic. Haven't got a Harry Potter. I really can't think of a Harry Potter wordplay for it. It's just epic. Obviously, if you're going to read it, you need to read all the books in the series, but when you do, it's well worth the time. It's well worth the effort. I don't know how many times I've read it, and I don't know how many hundreds and billions of times people around the world have read it, but it is such a good series. Honestly, can't get enough of it. If you're not into reading but you want to, start with Harry Potter. There's 7 books there, so if you do want to read more than one, carry on with the story, and if you're not interested after the first one, then what's wrong with you? Go see a doctor. No, I'm just kidding. So that was my Harry Potter book review for the entire series. So we're done. The book review of the Harry Potter series is done. Just a couple of things I quickly want to add. One, favourite scene, which I haven't mentioned. I think one of my favourite scenes in the series I didn't actually mention in any reviews was the Order of Phoenix, when he gets in trouble for screaming and shouting at Umbridge and they get into a fight, and she gives him detention and sends him off to see the head of his house, McGonagall, to deal with him. And she's just like, "Did you shout at Dolores Umbridge? Did you call her a liar? Did you say this? Did you say that about Voldemort returning? Rah, rah, rah." "Yes, I did. Sit down, Potter, and have a biscuit." It's just so unexpected. She's coming across as head of house, very strict, but she knows Dolores Umbridge is a total belle, and she's out of order, and she just sort of sits there and have a biscuit with Harry and tries to, help him and say, like, you've got to be careful what you say, blah, blah, well done though, It's a bit like the scene out of Kindergarten Cop. It kind of reminds me of that, where he punches the abusive father who's abusing his son, and then the headmistress calls him in and is like, "I thought you'd be a terrible teacher, but you're actually really good. What did it feel like to punch that guy?" Kind of reminds me of that sort of scene, like, I think she's going to get in trouble, like, "What have you done?" Dolores Umbridge shouting at her, "Have a biscuit." So it's absolutely brilliant. I want to say Hagrid's my favourite character, just to clarify that. I think my favourite one is the Order of Phoenix, but potentially Deathly Hallows. I think number one, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone if you're in the States, or anywhere else other than the UK, is phenomenal. It's such an underrated. I think maybe it's just it's the first one, so I love it so much. But I think a lot of people have it way down in their series. Controversial. Prisoner of Azkaban for me is potentially the worst book. I know a lot of people love it. I think it's probably the most popular one in the series. That might just be the films. I don't know. But for me personally, The Prisoner of Azkaban is probably the worst of the books. Now, out of all the books, I don't think any of them are bad, but I just think that out of all 7, that is probably the worst one for me because I love the other ones so much. Best lines have probably got to come as a character overall from Ron. I think Ron has a lot of the best lines in the series. There's some great one-liners in the series, which I've mentioned actually in my book reviews, like, what's the function of a rubber duck? Love that line. The biscuit one from McGonagall I've just spoke about. But yeah, I think that Ron overall has a lot of the best sayings overall in the series. Very underrated character. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it and my takes. I honestly love doing these book reviews. I have so many hours of footage where I messed up and did things wrong. So towards the end of the last couple ones, I just didn't care. Just left the mistakes in and sort of tried to work around it a little bit rather than reshooting and stuff. So it's really late. I'm going upstairs and edit this now, so it goes out Sunday night, potentially early hours on Monday morning, but still Sunday night because I've not woken up. So I've not woken up, I've not gone to bed. So thank you very much for watching the series. Thank you very much for watching Deathly Hallows. This is the end of the Harry Potter one. My next book review will be coming next week, next few days at some point. But it won't be Harry Potter, so that's finally done. So hopefully now the next book reviews I do will be book reviews that you guys and girls can actually look at as objectively and go, oh, that sounds good. Oh, I like what you said about that. Oh, I might check that out. There are going to be a couple of standalones. And then the next series I'm doing, I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, so if I haven't, this is good news, new news. The next series I'm doing is going to be Discovery of Witches. So I do want to do, I've nearly said Twilight then, definitely don't do that. I do want to do The Hunger Games, and I do want to do, I might do Lord of the Rings. It's just a long again, like the Harry Potter series and the long books. But I might do, maybe they're not as long. Discovery of Witches looks quite big, to be fair. I might do something else. But I want to do Hunger Games at some point. But I've got a couple of standalones coming up soon. So have a look at them. They're really good. One of them is really good. And the other one is a new author trying to make it in a business. And he's a really nice guy. And I think the book, well, I won't tell you what I think of the book. I'll tell you in my book review next week or the week after. So have a good day. Hope you had a good weekend. The weather's starting to pick up a bit more now. The lockdown restrictions are easing, or if not, eased completely where you are now. So I hope you have a good one. I'll see you all soon. Thank you for the support. Keep up the subscribes, the likes, the shares, and I'll see you all soon next week. Peace.